What's up YouTube? Austin coming at you with Vaporleaf.com. Today we're going to be talking about the cuboid-mini from Joyetech. So let's go ahead, take a puff off of this, and dive down in and see what you're getting. Alright, here we are down in close with the cuboid-mini from Joyetech. So we'll just go ahead and pull the lid off here. So you're going to get the battery in the tank. Pull up the foam and this little paper piece. Then we'll go ahead and get the manual for the device, the manual for the tank, and a warranty card. Then you get the charge cable, which is going to be a micro USB charge cable. You're going to get a plethora of coils. You get a rebuildable coil, which can be built to be either direct to lung or mouth to lung. You're going to get a, what is this guy? A 0.5, they say, is that a, pardon me, a 1.5 mouth to lung coil. Sorry, it's just a little bit hard to read these through the packaging. Let me see if I can get this to rotate around a little bit here. I think I'm making it worse. You know what, let me just pull the coils out and I'll go ahead and read it off the back of the box so that you have it easy there. So we have the, you have the notch coil, which is going to be a 0.25 ohm direct to lung, a stainless steel 0.5 direct to lung, a 1.5 clapped-in coil, which is a mouth to lung, and then the rebuildable section, which is a mouth to lung and a direct to lung coil, which you can build to whatever you want there. So those are the coils that you're going to get with that. And then in this little bag you get the top cap with two different mouthpieces. You get the white mouthpiece as well as the black mouthpiece. And then you get an Allen wrench and two replacement grub nuts, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. And just to mention with the notch coil here real quick, what the notch coil is, and I'll just hold this at the side here, is it's going to be this thing right here. It's essentially a laser cut tube with two leads attached to it, and that's the actual surface that it's heating up. So it's not like a standard coil where it's wrapped around. It's actually a laser cut cylinder with wicking material, and then it just has the two leads soldered to it, and that's how it heats up. So pretty cool, pretty new. I've tried it out. I like it, but we'll get to that a little bit later here. As far as the device goes, you're going to have the tank, which just unscrews from it there. It does have just a standard 510, so you can put whatever tank you want on the device. This is going to be a 5 mil tank, where the device itself is going to have a 2400 milliamp hour battery. As far as the physical appearance of it, you'll have the screen right here. I'll turn that on in a minute. You have the directional button at the bottom. On the side, you're going to have a fire button and your charge port. On top, as you were seeing, it has the 510 connection. And then at the bottom, let's see if I can get this guy to focus up here. It's going to have some venting, and then this little hole right here is actually a reset button. So I think that that's kind of cool. So if something happens with the device where it's just not really working properly, you can just reset it from there. Now, before we get into the actual function of the device here, the Allen wrench and the two extra grub nuts are for these two holes right here, and that's actually to adjust how the tank sits on the device. You can see that it actually fits pretty flush on there, and that's because I've already set it. But one side, and I keep messing this up, so you might have to bear with me here, but one side's going to loosen up, and one you'll see what I'm talking about here. I'm kind of digging myself a hole. So we'll go with the side with the button here, and I'm just going to loosen this screw up a bit. And that's still fixed there, so I'll go ahead and loosen this screw up. And when you loosen this screw up on the far side with the charge port, that just makes it so it's not grabbing onto the 510 anymore, and it'll just rotate around in circles. So you want to keep the one next to the button tight, and then and I just screwed that up again. So let me back that up. We'll tighten that one down, loosen this guy up, and yeah, there we go. Okay, so pardon me. The bolt with next to the button, you put that down and it'll just spin around in circles. So what you'll do is you'll set it to where you want it and then tighten both of the screws down. And now it's fixed where it wants to be. So I can unscrew the tank, or where you want it to be, I should say. So I can unscrew the tank, and then when I screw it back down, goes right back to lined up. So that's how you line it up there. Sorry that was a little convoluted. Like I said, I've done that a few times and I keep messing up which side's which. So as far as the top here, that is going to just screw down on there. And this top ring right here is also going to be your airflow. So when you're tightening it down, you'll feel the ring kind of move and then tighten up, and that's when the whole device will tighten. And you can kind of hear that click. Hopefully you can hear that, but that's your airflow right there. And then when you go past that, that's how you open it up. And I'll just use the rebuildable coil since it's not in a blister pack here. And how you're going to attach the coil is just right to this top tube right here. So that'll just screw down on there, make sure it's nice and snug, and then that just drops into the tank. And then you screw that down, and then you adjust your airflow to where you need it to be. Obviously, you'd have the tank filled up. Speaking of filling the tank, though, since this coil is plunging down into the tank, you don't want to fill it up to the brim. I think I've been filling it right to about there on the tank. I haven't had it overfill. It actually looks like there's a little bit of a gap still, so I could probably put more fluid in there. So you could probably fill it up to the top of that window where you can't see any more fluid and put this in there without any problems. But I've just erred on the side of underfilling it so that it's not overflowing. So that's the device there. So let me go ahead and unscrew this, and we'll go ahead, or the tank I should say, and then we'll go ahead and get into the device functions. So right now it is off, so I can press the button and nothing happens to it. It's just going to be 5 quick clicks to unlock it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I apologize about the screen here. It's not flickering like that in real life. It's just the way the camera is communicating with the device. So right now it's in a TCR mode, which I'll talk about that in a minute because that confused me for a little bit until I figured out what was going on with it. So let me just get into a power mode, and how we're going to switch through those modes is 3 clicks of the fire button, so 1, 2, 3. And that is going to start flashing there. Now, if we use the directional button next to the fire button there, it's going to cycle through our modes. So we have power, bypass, temperature nickel, the TCR mode, and power. And excuse me, this device I just updated. So there's an update for it. Let me go ahead and show you what it's like on the stock device really quickly, because it is different. So 1, 2, 3. Power mode starts flashing there. So we have power, bypass, temperature, temp nickel, temp titanium, temp stainless steel, and then the TCR mode. So that's before the update. After the update, what you'll do is 1, 2, 3, and then we'll go into the bypass and then temp control. And then if you hit the button on the side with the charge port, that'll start flashing just with the nickel. So it's kind of like a sub menu there. And then you can choose between nickel, titanium, stainless steel. Those are going to be your 3 right there. So we'll click the fire button, 1, 2, 3. And then it also has the TCR mode, which once again, if you hit the left button, it has memory 1, memory 2, and memory 3. I've only set the memory 1 on this, so that's why that has the 800, where the other 2 have the 120s on that. And I will talk about that in just a moment there. Now, with any of the temp control settings, when you hit the left button again, so it'll get out of that the sub menu and it'll go down to power. So that's how you adjust your wattage. Brief description on temp control. The temperature itself is to your plateau temperature. It will not get any hotter than that. And then your power is how quickly it gets up to that temperature. Some people call that like a boost mode, essentially. And you hit the left again. Pardon me, what am I doing wrong here? Well, apparently you can move up and down in that. There we go. So when you hit that left button, it'll get into the coil, and then you can lock and unlock your resistance. I don't have a tank on there at the moment, but it will lock and unlock your resistance. And then when you hit it again, it'll go down to the amperage, and you can change between amps, puffs, or total time vaped. I'll just go ahead and leave it on amps there, and then I'll go ahead and hit the fire button. That'll lock everything in there. 3 clicks, and I'll go ahead and go to the power mode there. The only thing that you're able to change on that one is the amp puff time, since the volts in the coil is just a meter. Once again, I will go ahead and just leave that on the amperage. Okay, so as far as the... I'll cover one more thing here real quickly, and this is available after the update. Pardon me, 2 things. So we have, when you press and hold the directional buttons, I guess 3 things, it'll go into key lock. That means that you're not able to adjust it, but you are still able to fire the device. And then you just press and hold those buttons again to unlock it. Then if you hit the fire button and the side near the and the directional button near the charge port, it'll go into a stealth mode, which my finger was in the way there, but it is on a stealth mode now. So essentially when you would fire it, the screen would go out, so there wouldn't be any screen displayed there. And then when you hit the fire button and the directional button again, it'll say stealth off. And then once again, this is only after it's updated. If you hit the fire button and the directional button near the fire button at the same time, it'll pull up logo on and off. So you can upload logos to this, and you can just use the button on the right side to scroll through that, whether you want the logo on or off. I can't remember the exact parameters for what the logo needs to be to upload on it, but you can turn that on and off. It does just have the Joyetech logo preloaded on there, so we'll just go ahead and do off on that. And then when you hit the button near the fire button there, it goes into game, which you have easy, normal, and hard there. And we'll just go ahead and click easy there, and it actually has the I already died there, but it actually has the Flappy-Bird, and so you're just hitting the fire button to go through there. And I'll just go ahead and die. So you can see the score and best. And then to get out of that, we'll just hit the fire button and the directional button near the fire button. And that'll pull you out of that. So neat little Easter egg there. Honestly, I'm not too sure how I feel about putting games on devices. I get that adults play games and everything, but with the way regulations are going and everything, probably not the smartest idea to do that with. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about the TCR mode, which is stands for temperature coefficients of resistance. I know, quite a mouthful there, but essentially it's a way to customize your temp control experience there. So when we get into that, 1, 2, 3, we'll go ahead and go over to the TCR mode there. And this you'll be able to do on the non-updated or the updated device. And you can, when we hit the, got out of it right as I clicked it. So 1, 2, 3 gets into the menu, and then you hit the left button and it'll start flashing on that sub menu. You have the M1, M2, and M3. And you can custom set those, and that's going to be in accordance to what the temperature coefficients of resistance for the material that you're using. Now, I'm going to go ahead and open up the book here real quick and show you what I'm talking about here. So you can see that nickel wants to be between 600 and 700. Nickel iron, which I'm sure there are coils out there that are nickel iron. I haven't seen them. I haven't used them. I'm sure I'll get a few comments of like, you haven't used that, you're crazy. But I haven't used that yet. That wants to be between 300 and 400. Titanium wants to be between 300 and 400 as well. And then stainless steel in either 303, 304, 316, or 317 should be between 80 and 200. And you can just customize everything within that. So I'm going to go ahead and take a TCT tank here. I do have a nickel coil in there. And we'll screw that on just so I can kind of show you what's going on here. But so what we're going to want to do to change that those memory values is turn the device off, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you'll want to press the fire button and the directional button near the fire button, and it'll pull that up. Really quickly, just one weird thing, which I kind of get, but when it's off, if you press and hold the directional buttons, and let's try and get this in focus while I'm doing this, but if you press and hold both of the directional buttons, it actually flips the screen upside down. So when we turn it on, the screen is now upside down. Now I can kind of see that as a usable thing, because when you're vaping, you're kind of looking down at it and you'll be able to see all the power as it's happening. Personally, I think that's little strange, but I get why they did that. So we'll go ahead and turn that off again, and then we'll just press and hold both of those directional buttons again, and then it'll flip it right side up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit the fire button and the directional button next to the fire button at the same time. And it'll pull up our memory values. So what you do is you can scroll through the memories either way, and we'll just mess with M1 right there. Right now I have it set on 800, which is a little high since, just as a mentioning or a footnote, it'll go up to 1,000, so it can do anywhere from 1 to 1,000 on that unit control, and it brought us out of that. So let me go ahead and click into that again. And then I'll go ahead and when you hit the fire button, that'll cycle between that, so you can hit that. When the M1's lit up, you can cycle through the memories, and then when you hit the fire button, you can change the actual value there. So let me go ahead and drop this down to 700. Since I am using a nickel coil, we want to be between 6 and 700, so I'll go ahead and drop this to 700. And then to lock it in, we'll just go ahead and press the fire button and the directional button again. Oh. It was working for me. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. Oh, I just dropped it to 70 watts. That's not good. Hold on. Oh no, that is 700. This is what happens when you read things upside down. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so just 5 clicks and it'll turn it back on for you. We are in TCR memory 3 right now, so it still is at 120. And I can hit the fire button, and I was having a hell of a time with this at first. This is why I was a little confused about it, because it just wouldn't vape for me, and I couldn't figure out how to set those TCR resistances. So once again, we'll just 1, 2, 3. And then we'll cycle into the memory mode there, and then we'll change it to the M1. It's at 700. I'll click in, so I have it set at 50 watts, at 50.4 watts at 540 degrees, and now you can hear it firing. So it's working perfectly at that point. I prove it. Is vaping for you. So, alright, hopefully that all made sense. That's basically all there is to the device, so let's go ahead and jump back up and we'll finish this up. Alright guys, so that was the cuboid-mini from Joyetech. Sorry that was a little bit rambly with the TCR. I was trying to go through it and figure it out this morning, and I had been told it was something else earlier, so I was having to forget all of that and relearn everything. Plus the tank. So I know that was a little bit jumbled, but hopefully you got the information you needed. If you didn't, please throw a comment down in the comment section. I'd be more than happy to walk you through or talk to you about it and help you out with any questions that you have with it. You're always more than welcome to give us a call or send us an email as well if you feel that that would be a little bit more beneficial to you. We can communicate with you throughout any of those. If you are in the Denver metro area and you're able to stop by the store, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Stop in and we can help you with any problems that you have, or to the best of our ability at least. So far, I mean, I think it's a really good device. I like it. It's fun. Let me get out of the TCR mode, since this is just a normal power coil here. So I'll go ahead into power. I will say the notch coil, being a 0.25 ohm coil, normally for a 0.2, I would usually recommend running between like 60 and 75 watts. I found with the notch coil, I actually like it a lot better down at like 50 watts, and it still vapes pretty decently there. Get a good vapor out of it. And then, you know, like I was saying, on This one I have the just the TCT tank on there, so you can see that both tanks do work. They both have 510 connections. That just looks a lot cleaner. And so I have this, once again, I have this set at 540 degrees at 50.4 watts. And I'll just take a drag off of that. So really good vapor production out of it, really good flavor. Haven't had any issues with that. And some of the vapor out of there. So, yeah, really good device. Battery life has been good, especially for the size that you get out of it. So if you're looking for just kind of one of those sleek little devices, that nice all-in-one and everything like that, or just, you know, plus you can change the battery. It's not like a device where this tank is built on there, so if you don't like the coil or the way the tank's working, you can't switch it out. You can definitely put whatever tank you want on there. And then one other thing that I will mention with these coils, I have noticed if you let them just sit for like a week or so, the coils get really flooded. So you might want to just keep that in mind, where if you leave the device just sitting with the coil on there and everything, you might want to pull the coil out and blow the excess juice out of there, or else it's going to be really spitty at first. But other than that, I've really been enjoying the device. It's remarkably customizable, especially with that TCR, the temperature coefficients of resistance mode, the TCR mode. Once you get used to it and once you learn how to use it, it's actually really cool. I like that they're doing that. It kind of puts it in your hands a little bit more, and you can really customize that vape to what you want it to be. So, Joyetech cuboid-mini. If you like the video, guys, make sure to hit that like button. And as always, make sure to subscribe for the latest and greatest videos. You guys have a great day. Bye now.